It's our football IQ segment, as there are a lot of coaches that may be lacking a couple of points on our football IQ segment. As we look back on the weekend, John, any standout to you? Because Caleb loves pointing out when people look dumb, so we have plenty to go to, but I'll give you the first crack at this.
Well, thanks. And Caleb does a really good job of specific plays, specific boneheaded plays where everybody watching is going, what the H? Jimbo Fisher, or maybe call him Dumbo Fisher now, just really sticks out. He just really sticks out to me, not just because he's the most overpaid football coach in college history, and not for just one blatantly awful decision he made Saturday against Tennessee, but the game was a continuation of the Alabama game as far as A&M is concerned. A&M could have won both games. It could have beaten Alabama. It could have beaten Tennessee. Jimbo just seems so disengaged. It's kind of like, hey, I'm just a coach. What am I supposed to do about this? And maybe some of this is on Bobby Petrino, but how can you not make a greater effort to get Anaya Smith the ball? He's one of the premium playmakers in the country. Do a jet sweep, running five, put him in the backfield in the Wildcat 5 times. Do anything, throw a bubble screen. It was almost I feel like Jimbo Fisher's instructions to quarterback Max Johnson, who I thought played a really tough game against all odds and with virtually no help, except from that right tackle that Caleb gave so much praise to. I just thought he could. It's as though Jimbo handed Max Johnson the football and said, "Go get him, kid. See you after the game. It's your baby."
Yep. Jimbo gets a
"You suck."
All right, Travis.
That always makes me laugh, Dave.
I know it's hard to beat, and it's right after the point where Bob Barker, rest his soul, fights Happy Gilmore. Which, you want a piece of me? I don't want a piece. I want the whole bit. Bob Barker, by the way, did you know that he was a boxing champion in the Army? John, you were in the Army.
Fortunately, I didn't have to box anybody. I got just about knocked out by a pugil stick by a Texas Southern nose tackle. But
a lot of people don't know. John was a war hero. If not for John, we'd all be speaking English right now.
No, you'd all be speaking Nebraska-ese because the Cornhuskers would have invaded Kansas in my post at Fort Riley.
Where he was stationed during Vietnam. John was approximately 6,000 miles away. Mel Tucker says hi. Kirby Smart haircut, not a good decision. We've got a lot of people that are throwing it out there as far as dumb coaching decisions. Our football IQ segment is brought to you by our friends at Herald Group Security Solutions, leadership experience, specialization, addressing problems through unique mission-specific mitigation techniques, making your children safer one school at a time. We're working with private schools, but we're going to get those public schools involved. Herald GRP, heraldgrp.com. Go to your school administrator. Say, I want my children to be safe with highly trained security individuals, and we'll get this done in public schools as well. Caleb, let's go football IQ. Who have you got? Who made the dumbest decision over the weekend?
Well, do you want me to start from the least dumb or from the dumbest? Because I could the least dumb, not least dumb, but I kind of wanted to transition off John because Jimbo Fisher is on my list.
We can do that. And Rocky Top T saying Rocky Top Tom saying worst dumb coaching decision all year, keeping Joe Milton at quarterback after it's clear he can't cut the cheese. I think cut the cheese means something else. Caleb?
Okay, so John, I'm with you. Now, there was one I almost considered, and it was, remember the 4th and 2 where Max Johnson tripped? And that was very reminiscent of the Arkansas run play where Clint Sterner tripped because why would you call a stretch run play? Why wouldn't you just go straight up the middle or a play action or something? They call it a stretch running play to the left, which when you have the best edge rushers in the SEC, and you call – I couldn't figure that out. But Jimbo Fisher mainly made the list because it's almost halftime. Texas A&M is up 10-7. There's a minute 30 left in the half, and Texas A&M has all 3 timeouts left. Jimbo Fisher decides it's 4th down. I'm going to let the clock run all the way down, and then I'm going to just play for halftime and waste a possession. I don't understand coaches not thinking possessions don't matter in college football.
You suck, you jackass.
That's what I mean. He just seems disengaged. Like, I really don't care. We'll just let that clock run. I got nothing for now.
Yeah, totally a loss. Now the other one, I wanted to know what you guys thought about this, but I did not mind Dan Lanning going for the win at Washington late. I talked about it yesterday. I said, look, if you play percentages, if you're on the road in an environment like that, you have a better chance of converting that 4th and 3 than you do of winning in overtime. I do mind him not going for the field goal at the end of the first half against Washington, Oregon and Washington. It was 22-18. Oregon was going to get the ball to start the second half. They were averaging 5 yards a carry. They get inside the red zone, and they throw it 4 straight times, a la Butch Jones against Florida in 2017. And I thought, 1, you got to run it once or twice. 2, you kick the field goal in that situation knowing you're going to only be down by 1 and get the ball to start the second half. That was just next level done by Dan Lanning.
Caleb, don't you think we coaches get caught up in a game where offense prevails and they just think, can't win with field goals, got to score a touchdown every chance we get. They pretty much disavow any use of the field goal kicker.
I have noticed that, and it seems to be a trend. I noticed it in the NFL as well. It just seems like they're passing on pretty easy 3-point field goals instead of they think they can get it further down the field and score touchdowns. I get it. I mean, you don't want to be in the red zone kicking field goals, but I mean, 3 points is 3 points. Last I heard, whoever scores the most points wins.
And possessions are possessions. You're getting the ball to start the second half. And if it's a game of touchdowns and you're only going to be down 1 after kicking this field goal, take the points in that situation.
I think it's particularly at the end of the half, it's a momentum buster when you don't get anything out of a drive. It's a last-ditch drive, and so I agree with you. I would have kicked a field goal there, and then I got the ball back, and you sell that to your team. Hey, we've got the momentum. We cut the lead to 1. We're going to get the ball. Let's go get them.
Exactly.
Caleb, who else made some dumb coaching decisions?
Wait, is that a that's crazy or a you suck?
Oh, well, that's definitely
You suck.
yeah. It's crazy too, but crazy means that he just lost track of the game. The jackass one means he just didn't show off his higher intelligence.
Could you change that? That's crazy to that's insano.
Yes, I can change it to that's insano.
Okay,
Captain Insano shows no mercy. Anybody?
I got it. Yeah, Captain Insano. That was from I can't remember the movie.
Waterboy. Another
Waterboy. That's right. All right, Captain Insano. John's new
perfectly nickname. As John, I know you're from there. I feel like Waterboy's a great documentary on what life is like in Cajun, Louisiana. And but
that's another show.
I'm sorry.
That's another show.
Oh, so the other one, and I feel like he makes this list every week, and I know y'all like him, but Sam Pittman. I got to bring Sam Pittman in. Everybody's going to give him praise for Arkansas playing Alabama close, but it's the first half. It's 4th and 1 at the 34. Alabama's up 21-6. The game's getting away. Sam Pittman runs the clock down and then calls a timeout only to punt the ball. And
That's crazy.
I'm yes, like it's Alabama. You got to play field position with Alabama because we're 2 evenly matched teams here. No, you're not. You got to go for points in possessions against Alabama.
Yeah, that's almost the flip side of the Dan Lanning critique. Arkansas was obviously the inferior opponent down there, heavy underdog. You got to have a sense of where your team is, where it stands, and what's going on in the game. I didn't think Sam Pittman did very well in that game. I don't think Sam Pittman's doing well this season. I think Sam Pittman is coaching himself into trouble. He gained a lot of favorable attention, as he should have, for ending a Vanderbilt-like losing streak when he arrived at Arkansas. Had lost 20-something straight SEC games, kind of turned it around. But what has he done lately? The program's headed in the wrong direction, and I think the team is better than what its record is.
All right, Caleb, what else you got?
All right, so a couple more. Lance Leipold, who I actually think is a good coach at Kansas, but I had to drop a football IQ one on him. Here's my biggest pet peeve, and coaches still do it, and it's next level stupid. When you burn a timeout late in the game to talk about a fourth down play, knowing you're going to need that timeout if you don't get it. It's so dumb, and they do it all the time. I don't know how coaches don't know math, but this is peak evidence of how coaches it's the most consistently stupid mistake. So Kansas gets a 9-yard completion down 36-32 to Oklahoma State, brings up a 4th and 1, and Lance Leipold takes a timeout to talk about a 4th and 1 play. You should already have the 4th and 1 play prepared. You should already have it ready to go. And they don't get it. And by the time they get the ball back, there's 15 seconds left instead of a minute left because of that.
You can't go through watching a football Saturday without seeing that happen.
That's
and coaches always tell us, we've got to play for every situation. We got a 2-point conversion play. I remember last year when LSU beat Alabama and went for the 2, Brian Kelly talked about, we had this play, we thought it might work, prepared for it. You're prepared for 4th and 1 against any defense. You've got to play. It's almost like, oops, I forgot about that play we had. It happens. Exactly. It happens again and again. I don't get it either.
I don't know how you don't have a 4th down call and a 2-point conversion, maybe 2 or 3 of them, ready to go at all times in case you need it. It should be in your back pocket. Put it on that clipboard that you lean on. It shouldn't be difficult. The call should be made immediately. What else you got, Caleb?
All right, and here's the final one. And I've been all over the place on not going for it or going for it, but I had to drop a football IQ one to Deion Sanders because you don't blow a 29-0 lead unless you make some coaching blunders. And the key coaching blunder is at the opening drive of the second half. They go down to the Sanford 45. They're still up 29-0, and they bring up a 4th and 2. It's 4th and 2. Now, 95% of the time, I do believe you go for it in that situation. I don't believe in punting. But the 5% is when you're up 29-0 and you don't want to give the other team any momentum whatsoever. And he goes for it on 4th and 2, and he has Shedeur Sanders in a deep back and shotgun do a 5-step drop. He doesn't have a blocker to pick up the blitz. So Shedeur Sanders gets sacked, and that totally changes the game. I have no problem with him going forward on the second 4th down that they didn't get later in the game because that's flow of the game slipping away. But this 4th down, where if you punt it, Stanford's down 29-0, and they're going to have to go to the length of the field just to make it a 3-score game. It was just so stupid to go for it in that situation.
I believe what Deion Sanders was thinking. I think he'd pulled off his thinking cap, and I only saw the first half, so Colorado was beating Stanford to such a degree. I don't think the game was over in Deion's mind. Yeah, let's see how many points we can score here. I just don't think he had any idea that Stanford could come back. Now he does.
Yep.
Yeah. And the other point of this, and I just want to point on the message board, is also leaving Travis Hunter on so many plays on the field and then being shocked when he's just back off injury and that he's not going to get burned on defense when you're doing that. Of course he is.
Yeah. Now, one, Travis points out real quick that I want to address. Absolutely hate the fact on 3rd and 15 we call a run play. Hasn't worked yet. Almost did against A&M. Still didn't work. It almost worked. I don't think at that point you're even trying. This speaks to Joe Milton. I don't think you're trying to convert. I think you're trying to play a field position game. And Josh Heupel, John, that's not his nature. So he had to wince a little bit when he had to call that play.
Well, let's face it. We talked about a lot already. But Joe Heupel is having to scheme around Joe Milton.
Josh Heupel.
He's having to scheme around a depleted receiving core. And I get emails criticizing Josh Heupel for his play calling. Well, you got to understand, this is not the typical Josh Heupel offense. He's not calling plays for the team he had last season. He's calling plays for this one. He's trying to work around his deficiencies, and that can be very challenging at times.